And hi, everybody. Welcome to Rick Snyder's Washington on YouTube, where my hair sticks straight up, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit the thanks button. I'm going to stick it right here. Todd, welcome. You're in first. Bookkeeping thing here. Oh, Steve, Todd beat you. How did that happen? Never happened. Well, I am 2 minutes early, but whatever. I'm just typing in something. That won't matter, but I'll do it anyway. So good, thanks. Oh, fuck, man, everybody's ready to go except me. Okay, so this is the first Monday of I don't know about 25 of them. Whatever, we'll finish this again. I might take off Monday and should I say that next week? Yeah, because I'm actually going away on vacation for a few days. But after that, I'll be doing it every week. So, pretty much rain or shine, or as long as I don't get sick, pretty much that's what we do from 8 to 9 Eastern. So thank you all for coming very much. And I'm going to camp tomorrow morning. So 9 a.m. practice. I'll file, I don't go every day because I don't get paid to go every day anymore. And it's a lot of work. So we're going to hit the trail again tomorrow morning. What I have been watching every day, whatever I have to do. So you can hit it. So Steve knows Todd. So it's a friendly rivalry you got going here. Okay. And there's Olympics going on and stuff like that. I thought it was interesting. Washington tried to get to 2024 Olympics, and everybody was complaining, "Oh my God, the traffic!" What, like we're driving down the highway free now? I mean, to get to Redskins Park or Commanders Park now we call it. It's 2 hours for me, and that's leaving crack of dawn to get across town because I live all the way on the other side of town. I always have. Real pain in the butt, but whatever. Today, let's say we're going to talk about the offensive line. They're trying some different things in several positions, but they had Brandon Coleman do some left tackle, um, and then over at right tackle, the vet came back from injury, so we're okay there. Let's see, do I have my board somewhere? No. Okay. So they're just kind of looking at stuff. They did some stuff at left guard just to try it. They're trying a lot of stuff for the next week or so. I mean, really, they've got a week until they go to, or 9 days, whatever, until they go over to the New York Jets to scrimmage. So everything they're installing the offense and defense right now. There'll probably be another week of installs. But they just put on the pads today. Nothing really to report. No big fights or anything. I know Coach said we don't do fights here. And yeah, nobody opens gladiator school, but that's just how it goes. It's going to be hot this week. I would expect there'll be a fight by Thursday at the latest. Fans came. They pretty much are limited to about 3,000 fans. They have a nice big bleacher for them. And as a matter of fact, tomorrow and Wednesday, is it maybe? It's corporate, ticket holders, season ticket holders, that kind of thing. So it'll be even a smaller crowd than that. Daniel's here. All right. He's Vive la Resistance. So yeah, it must be French. Everybody's Parisian this week watching the Olympics, and I've never been to Paris. So been to London many a time, been to other places, but I gotta get Paris on my list, I guess. All right, so they're trying, the practices. It just basically kind of they're shorter and they're not quite as intense, but they're trying. Quinn wants to ramp up. Okay, is this a better way of doing it? I don't know. I've seen every which way you can imagine practices in the summer going with every possible result coming from them. Yeah, the question is, do you have good players? And then you can work it. I like Wagner. Wagner's really taking the leadership role on. He's not. Sometimes you get high price, especially high price free agents. They come in, they kind of sit on their hands like anybody would if you join a new job. You don't go into the first conference room and go, "Hey, over here, I'm the boss. You're applesauce." No, they kind of hang back, but not doesn't Wagner's. Wagner knows he's the boss. Everybody else knows he's the boss, and so he's not afraid to take that kind of mantle on there. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Good for him. Gregory, is training camp better under Josh Harris versus Dan Snyder? Um, as far as practicing and all that goes, Neither owner has an impact on that at all. Fan experience, still kind of early, but Josh Harris has put his money where his mouth is, made sure that people had stands and last summer too. He barely got in the door, but he made sure that there were stands there because man, standing on the hill, it's a small hill, so you really can't see every people. It sucks. It's hot and you're out in all but they have morning practices only for fans. So 9 to 11. So it doesn't get razor hot, at that point. Is McCaffrey getting a lot of reps on the offensive side? Asked Bob. Yeah, he's definitely, I think, got a chance to be the number two, probably the number three, but we'll see. I want to see what this new coaching staff is. Well, Jeff, I like your style. And Jeff was the first one. I haven't even mentioned donating money to the program to help. I do appreciate it. It's a way of supporting an old sports writer who's still doing this at least one more season. We'll see. And I do appreciate everybody chipping in to say, hey, Rick, thanks for spending your time. If you're just cheap and you don't want to do that, if you at least hit the thumbs up button for me, that helps the algorithm love me. Jeff, let's see. He says, I've been to Paris, but enjoyed Barcelona more. Haven't been to either. Out of all the president's preferred drinks, which one's the stiffest? Wow, they had a lot. I wrote a book called Presidential Pours. Yeah, Presidential Pours. Thanks for the segue. You can get it on Amazon, but I saw it too. If you go to Venmo or PayPal that I have up at the first comments, we'll do it tonight for $15, signed and sealed and shipped. So you just go to my Venmo or Rick Snyder or the PayPal ones I have listed up top in comments, and I'll send it to you. But anyway, to answer your question, I mean, a lot of them drank whiskey, so how it did. But George Washington was a rager, man. He might have been one of the harder drinkers. People have a hard time believing that. Teddy Roosevelt liked mint juleps. I can tell you, covering 20 Kentucky Derbies, mint juleps are a real drink, man. It's like a 4-to-1 bourbon to water ratio. So it's, you definitely don't throw those back easy. So that's a pretty good question there. I mean, FDR liked to do old granddads, and they were pretty stiff. I heard he had really, he wasn't afraid to pour the bottle. What's your impression of Jaden Daniels so far? Asked Robbie. It's all been good. Haven't really seen anything I would go, oh no. Hasn't used his legs as much as people might think. He's trying to use his arm, which is what they want, but he's not against doing it. But I don't think he's not a run first kind of guy there. So I think overall it's all been good. You don't see the ball on the ground much. So it's all been positive so far, but nobody's hitting them yet. So, we'll see how that all goes next week. Joel, where was Griffith Stadium in DC? It was on Georgia Avenue Northeast. Sort of where Howard University is. Just below it, there was a Howard University hospital that replaced Griffith Stadium. And now there's a new hospital on that grounds. I haven't been there, but they had a plaque inside the old hospital. So just below Howard University on Georgia, and I think right a couple of blocks above Georgia and Florida avenues. So versus RFK, as a crow flies, 4 or 5 miles maybe is all it was. Old guys, I don't remember Griffith Stadium. They left after 60 season when I was born. But the old timers told me, yeah, you'd park your car. The neighborhood was right there across the street. So you'd have to pay a quarter for the kid there to watch your car, or else he'd watch somebody bust it. That's how the locals made money. Quarter back then, I don't know, $5, $10 now. Even though it's a public street, but yeah, you want insurance? It costs you a quarter, they say. Okay. Daniel's not putting any judgments on Jaden Daniels until I see him live in the game. Thank you. Yes, let's at least see him there. Here's my question for the preseason. I haven't had a chance to ask because Coach doesn't want to talk about this yet, but do they play the starters in the third and last preseason game? Normally, you'd say no, but they play the first 2 games on the road. So the only time home fans get to see a preseason game is the third one. Do you let Jaden Daniels play a little bit for the home crowd, to support them? And it's an NBC national TV game on Sunday night, 8 p.m. Thank you for that. And then, NBC is going to be saying, listen, man, you got to give us this guy a couple of series. If you make this a dog show, we're going to be screwed. So I have a feeling Jaden Daniels is going to play that third preseason game, and he should. because he needs the experience. And you go, what if he gets hurt? Aaron Rodgers got hurt 4 snaps into the season last year for the Jets. I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You just can't play scared. I would play him for a series or two. If you're 3-and-out, you go out for a second series. But otherwise, that game's probably Jeff Driscoll's, I would think. And Driscoll's looked okay. I had a poll up the other day saying, should they keep Jeff Driscoll as the number 3 over Sam Hartman? I mean, they paid Hartman a big bonus, but Driscoll could be trade bait, and how quarterbacks get hurt all the time. So he'd get you a lot more on the open market than Sam would. But you'd have to eat that bonus you gave Sam. But I'm not the guy that did that, and it's not my money. So that's a good question, I think, coming up. All right, Todd, do you think Jameson Crowder will make the team? Yes. Yeah, I think so. Going to be interesting to see who's a punt returner. I know they're looking at receivers, tight ends, and running backs to do it because with this new kick returner. This new kickoff thing, everybody's so much closer together. And then it's like rock'em sock'em robots. You needed somebody who's used to running through the line and such to handle kickoffs now versus a guy that was really fast and could get to the 20 for anybody else. That's going to be interesting. And I was reading another coach today was saying, nobody's going to show you jack about kickoffs in the preseason. But come September, you're seeing different stuff. And I agree with that. I think whoever's smart figures out a zone blocking scheme and such for those kickoffs. And then September, October, they have a big advantage. By midseason, everyone's figured it out and neutralizes each other. But until then, you got a shot at ripping something. Bob, favorite topping on a pizza? I would say pepperoni at this point. I used to be sausage, but I'll say pepperoni at this point. Robbie, your dad had tickets to Skins at Griffith. Yeah, I mean, that would have been my dad, but my dad thought football was stupid. He loved baseball. I wonder what my dad would have thought about my career covering this team. He actually died a little before I became a full-timer on covering the team years ago. So he'd been proud of me either way. Todd, I see Jaden play only in the third game with the rest of the starters, and they need to play a little bit in series or two. I think so. Anybody else is trade bait? Ask Greg. No, I can't even say that about the Nats, although the Nats just traded Lane Thomas, I saw, for a couple of minor leaguers. I don't know what they're worth. Rizzo's done pretty well trading players for the Nats. That's worked out very well, even if you didn't want to say goodbye to some of the stars. And this team, they're almost to 500 next year, maybe. So as far as this team, I don't think you really worry about that on the 53. I'm sure if I mentioned that to Adam Peters, he'd think I was nuts for even thinking about that. But, hey, I got time on my hands. Alexander, so Jaden is struggling in practice. I would not say that. I mean, he hasn't been perfect. Nobody is. But I think he's doing okay. Joel, do you think kick returns will be more touchdowns? No, I don't think it'd be more touchdowns, but I think there could be, in the early part of it, there could be some pretty good run backs, more than normal. I think the average per return, it's going to be interesting to see what you call that. But, I mean, it's a wild thing. I really didn't quite understand what they were doing until I saw them practice. And then I was like, okay, now I can see all the pieces on the board, and I can see what they're doing. And now it makes sense of what's going on. I think you're going to have more of your starters in there. You might have more of your offensive line in there. You need guys that are quick for pull blocking different zones. So a lot of guards. I mean, your reserve guards, I think, could be definitely doing that. But you want like a running back or somebody who's good at tight quarters running. So not speed, you need strength in that position. Gregory, you think you need another speedy wide receiver? Well, you can never have enough of those. I mean, nobody's Dotson's speed is not the problem. McCaffrey is not the fastest guy, but he's a good route runner and does a lot of things well. Let's say, David, what are the black short tank tops the players are wearing? Oh, it's just a camp thing. I don't think it's anything to worry about. I would not wear black anything in this heat. These guys are nuts. I see people, even on the streets, they wear black. It's 90 to 100 degrees here right now. Don't wear black. That makes it hotter. And so I see coaches do it. I see coaches wearing long sleeves, hoodies, sweat things. Are you trying to die? I mean, really, that's just crazy. I saw a guy today. I was in a restaurant, had a full hoodie, sweatshirt kind of thing on. I thought, are you insane? I mean, that was my 4-year-old grandson yesterday. He wanted to go outside and he had a big parka he pulled out of a closet. So now that you wear that parka outside, the authorities are going to come lock me up for child abuse. People don't know how to dress in the heat anymore. Daniel, any more news on those padded helmets? Well, they are using them, and then they're mandatory for linemen and such during the preseason. The regular season, it's an option. Now, most guys don't want to look like Mr. Big Head, so they don't like wearing them. I don't know that they weigh so much more, but they do prevent more concussions because they're like hard foam. Um, but nobody likes to be the first one to do this kind of thing. So somebody important's got to do it, and then maybe some others will follow. You got to watch your head. These concussion things are real. Okay, Todd, did you hear about Devontae Adams talk about Washington? He called us. I got something weird on my screen. Something fans. What does it say? And hates the city. Well, back at you, Devontae. This is the greatest city on earth, at least my hometown. So if you don't like it, you don't have to come. A lot of people hate Washington, and I get this as a tour guide, which I also work at. And some of you guys go on tours. If you're coming into town on a Saturday before a home game, you might want to go on a specialty tour I have. Glad to talk about it. Go to monumentalthoughts.com where I keep my tour guide biz. And I try to, I'm not doing quite as much touring as I used to. So, and we're going to have 3 tours this fall, Lincoln Assassination, Old Town Alexandria, and Embassy Row. And you can buy tickets to those. They're about 90 minutes. I'm going to have the dates up soon. They'll be in September and October. And afterwards, we're going to go eat pizza. And you pay for the pizza, not me. I picked out a pizza place by each. So we can go have, talk Commanders afterwards, eat pizza, and I won't worry about the clock on that. So that's coming up. I fell on the street going to a tour the other day. I tripped over a stupid thing on the sidewalk and went down hard. Got very lucky I didn't get hurt. So I'm a little less. I've been taking a little bit of time off just to kind of heal up a little. My legs are still hurting from that. That was one of those old man moves in the street. You're like, oh no, and nobody around to help. So, it happens. Todd loves DC. Thank you. I'm a 6th generation Washingtonian, so my family's here since the city was here. I can show you where my great grandfather's fruit market was, or where my great, relatives used to work, and some of them worked at the White House. Distant relatives in the White House. Yeah. So I do a little bit of everything. So Todd's been. So I'm glad you're coming, Gregory. Any new rumors on anything like Commander Stadium menu or anything like that? Well, not a stadium menu. I laughed yesterday. Maryland's governor was at practice, and unfortunately, I wasn't there. I would have loved to have asked him. Somebody said, "Hey, Wes, are you trying to run for VP on with Kamala Harris?" And he said, "No, I love being governor." I would have said, "Do you know who the last time Maryland's governor became the vice president? You know what happened then?" I wonder if he does. I doubt it, because it was before he was born. The last one was Spiro Agnew, who in 1969 left being Maryland governor to become Nixon's VP. And he lasted for a few years and then had to resign under indictment, of which he was later convicted of taking kickbacks. So if he hadn't resigned, Nixon resigns, Agnew could have become president. Instead, Gerald Ford worked his way through. So that's the last time a Maryland governor got to inside a White House, and it didn't go very well. I would have loved to have asked ask Wes that one. Anyway, he's still banging the drum for a stadium in Maryland. I think he's got a good chance. The RFK spot every day dwindles, makes it harder. There's a bill that has passed the House, but it can't get on the Senate docket because people are trying to block it. There's only about a week to go in the Senate session until they break for summer, and they don't come back till after Labor Day. They're back for 2 weeks, and then they break again for like 6 weeks for the election. So they're only really in session 2 weeks from now till mid-November. At that point, they have a few weeks they could do something with the RFK bill, But that everything changes because of the elections, and if they don't do it by the end of this year, they got to resubmit the bill next year. So man, it's taken a while. One of the commanders, minority owners, mentioned on radio the other day it could be 7 to 10 years before they get a new stadium. Whew, man, that's a long time. I don't know. DC's not, if they ever get control of this site, they are not going to just say, okay, we'll see you in 10 years. I mean, they want to develop the site. So I just have a feeling it's going to end up in Landover. That's the latest guess. I changed with the wind on this. I know. Alexander, Old Town's beautiful. I was there over the weekend. Yeah. I mean, it's got, just walking a short area, it's got a lot of George Washington stuff, a lot of Revolutionary. It's got Civil War stuff. The first deaths of the Civil War were fighting over a flag at a hotel where the Confederate sympathizer, who was the manager of the hotel, said, "They'll take down my rebel flag over my dead body," which is what they did because he shot the first guy, a colonel, coming at him, and then they killed him and took the flag. There's all this stuff in there. Lots of great stuff. Captain's Row, where all the captains used to go. It's some cool stuff. Kenny, let's see. What's my take on the radio chatter and call in talk? What about RFK site being overrated and fans need to move on? Well, I'll say that I don't think it's overrated, and location makes it the best one. And I listen, if they could go to RFK, go to RFK, in my opinion, just because of the metro system and all. You will lose a lot of the parking there. It won't be the tailgate. We're not going back to the 1980s at RFK. We're just not. Life doesn't go backwards; it goes forwards. So it's not that Shangri-La. And listen, they can go back to the RFK site, and if it keeps stinking, that ain't going to help any either. So people are just kind of talking out of their both ends and not realizing it. And there was a big dispute this past week about some young people were like, the old people are holding us off. And I'm like, no, no. The new stadium is going to be for the younger crowd, not the RFK crowd of old. Let's think about it for a second. They haven't played at RFK since 96. So that's 28 years ago. Let's just say they don't get there for another 35 years. So anybody sitting in those stands would be 35 years older. Most of the people in those stands were 40, 50, which would make them 75, 85. If they're still alive and not game experience is not going to be something they go to, you've got a new crowd having to go to RFK. You really do. So you got to cater to that, because the old people are gone. I mean, me in 7 years, I don't know if I'm still covering this, then God bless me with some health, because otherwise, we all get old and move on to the next generation. Don't like it, but do it. I don't like it being old, but whatever. So it's a different crowd coming. It's not going to be the old RFK crowd. There'll be some people there. There'll be the old people there. But that's why they're going to go with a smaller stadium. Well, they may go like 56,000. I think they're going to do 65,000, and you need 70,000 for a Super Bowl. But you can shoehorn in temporary seats to get to that number. Yeah, I've seen other stadiums do it. So I'm not worried about that. In 65, listen, you guys are watching everything on TV, your phones. You don't want to pay. You know what it's going to cost us to go to this new stadium? The mayor puts out a report. I read this whole thing. I got it sitting here somewhere. And there was like, under this plan, 45,000 people will be able to sit in $90 seats. Yeah, my rear end on that. No way. No way you're building a $2 billion stadium and seats are going to be $90. I'll sign that deal right now. How about that? We'll sign a contract. I'll buy you the seats for $90 whenever you get there. Here's my deposit. Not happening. It's going to be 150 easy. So, they're not looking to get as many people in there. A TV pays for everything anyway. TV pays for everything in the NFL and all the home crowd tickets and food and all that and merchandise. That's all bonus money. That's how Dan Snyder had a bigger yacht. He could just do that. Now, Josh Harris, he's got a debt service to pay on him. So a little bit harder for them. Let's hope they don't come back until after Christmas. Well, again, gotta let your legislature. Maybe they have to come back to do a funding bill or something. I don't know when the government. We seem to have this annual, oh my God, we're going to shut down the government unless we get a funding bill thing done. Maybe that's happening. Okay, Antoinette wants to know on my show with Matt, which is Seasons of Discontent. When's it starting? Early August. Matt goes on vacation around this time of year, goes to the beach. So he's going to go do that. And then rather than do one and then have to stop, sort of like what I'm doing tonight, because won't do next Monday night. I'll be on vacation. I haven't had a vacation in a while. So I'm going to take off one. I'll still be doing my daily stuff because I'm stashing them. But so I'll have daily videos, but I won't be doing the show. But Matt and I will be back in early August, I guess. We haven't talked much lately. I have to see what he's up to. Marcus, thanks for coming. Greg, I think these days to watch games on TV are the best. You don't have to fight the crowds. Well, I mean, that's Gregory, and that's part of getting old too. If you're 70, like the old RFK crowd now, 70, you're not going to be doing this. You might go once, but you're not going to go every week, mostly. Not most people. So that's why it's a new crowd going to be there. Oh, we're 824 already. So if you want, I mean, I haven't done my annual plea yet, or not my weekly plea for money. So if you see the $ underneath the screen here, you can contribute through YouTube. And if you don't have that, here is my Venmo and PayPal info if you want to donate directly to support an old sports writer who's giving you an hour of his day at the end of a very long day. It helps. Of course, I spelled Venmo wrong. Okay. Um, it's a way of keeping it going. It's a way, I don't have commercials on my show. Because I don't want to be beholden to sponsors. I don't want to gum up everything. Can you imagine my 2-minute reports with a sponsor? So I'm doing this to try and keep it, ad free, and people can just donate once in a while. And I would appreciate it just so that I'm not sitting there thinking a bunch of ingrates are watching me and won't pay anything on anything. And, so see, Todd's not an ingrate. Thank you, Todd. I ain't sound like a whore like this. I really do. But, this is a new world of journalism. I got laid off 6 times in 8 years. You have to scramble to do what you got to do. Marcus, yeah, the AOLs, I use it for things like, PayPal. But don't send me questions there because I don't really answer it. Greg, you think Virginia's still in the stadium mix? No, no. You see that lady block the arena down in Richmond State? Richmond State House does not like to pay for big projects in Northern Virginia because they're more Southern and Western centric than they are Northern. That's the proof. And they killed that, arena deal. And there's no way they're going to bring in a stadium deal for even more money down there. She's not going to do it. What's her name? Louise Luca. And I just remember her first response to, hey, they want to build an arena in Alexandria. And she literally said, do I look like I have dumbass written on my forehead? Whew. Well, she was opposed to it, I guess. They should have made the deal with her. That's how politics work, but they didn't. And she knocked that thing out. So I'm not into Virginia state politics much because I live in Maryland. I'll let them worry about them. I'll worry about me. But Antoinette, am I going to watch the Hall of Fame game Thursday night? I hate to ask this. That's this Thursday, isn't it? I probably watch first quarter. That's about it. I'm trying to watch a little bit of the Olympics. Not that I really have a dog in that fight except for U.S. athletes, but that kind of thing. The Olympics, after a while, you get exhausted. But I mean, hey, great opening ceremonies, I do love that. And how they had the flying cauldron and all that stuff. That was pretty cool. Who didn't want to cry looking at Celine Dion with all her battles sitting there singing at the end? I mean, how inspiring was that? So good for her, you know. So that was kind of cool. I'll give it that. And, LeBron, I like watching the basketball some. All right. William, it's always good for the soul to see a few games live, but big TVs and HD makes the home experience better than ever. True. Plus, I'm old. Okay. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a big TV. I mean, for as much as tickets and all that stuff will cost you and everything, you get a hot dog, it's just $10,000. I don't blame you. I moved to a new home about a year and a half ago. We got a 44-inch TV, something like that. Biggest TV I've ever had. It's pretty cool. It took me a while to get used to watching stuff on it. So I don't blame people. I mean, live is sports in so many ways has changed so much in the last 20 years. It's now what they would call enhanced experiences, is what the younger people want. Guys like me, we go to a ball game, you buy a hot dog and a beer, and you sit there and you watch the game. That's not what young people do today. They're on Instagram and taking pictures and trying these trendy foods and oh yeah, they're playing the game. And I tell you what, if you've ever been up in the box, the premium seats in the middle, that ring there with the boxes on, hardly anybody's watching the game. They're all having fun, drinking, talking with each other, watching something on TV. They're not really watching the game. I've been up there a few times. I was there a couple times this past year, and it's a totally different deal going on there. So people that the future coming to these games have to have different things like that. I think they're going to have a Hall of Fame. To what degree, I don't know, but they're going to try and create some type of exhibit to have like a Hall of Fame area. I very much tried to put out my opinion that this should have a Daryl Green 5G situation where he runs down like a wall 40 yards and you can run with him and see how fast Daryl is. That would be mine. The statues would be nice. They'll do something there. Maybe they'll go to Modell Sporting Goods and get a few more done. Oh, that Sean Taylor one, man. That's just going to haunt Jason Wright forever. Yes, Jason is leaving. Everybody knew this way ahead of the stuff. Right now, he's working on the stadium and sponsorships and stuff like that. It's been that way for a while, at least 6 months. We always knew Harris would bring in his own financial guy. Jason's not on football; he's on the financial side. So he'll be looking at other pastures eventually too. Antoinette, I do a show on FedEx Food. Well, the only food I eat there is what's in the press box, which is nothing special. But I don't badmouth it because it's free. A lot of places now charge in the media, charge them to eat press box. So it's free food. If you don't like it, don't eat it. But I appreciate that at least they do it. Marcus said, I had tickets to a sweet, fun memory. I bet you probably have fun if you even remember any of it. I don't like that they don't take cash anymore at the stadium either. Um, they supposedly it's simpler and easier, and they use credit cards only, and it costs money to count money, kind of junk. Whatever. I think what it is they want to sell more beer to guys, and if they run out of cash, they don't buy any more beer. Oh, get your credit card, swipe it, and at the end of the month, you go, "Good Lord, I drank $180 worth of beer or something." It's a way of ramping up sales, guaranteed. Everything's about money, folks, including me. Steve, thank you so much for contributing. I do appreciate it. You're going to get excused absence for August 12th. Well, listen, if I can miss one, you can miss one. I guess we'll have to play that game because I am missing. The August 5th, I'm going to be gone. So I'll be back August 12th. Steve, who didn't miss 1 minute last season, is already now committed to doing something else. But that's okay. Sorry. You'll get a free, get a hall pass. But thank you for contributing. Do I expect the stadium new sponsor by home opener? Asked Greg. I would be surprised if not, but I've not heard what it is. Harris Group's pretty good at keeping things quiet because those money people aren't really around people like me, and I'm not just going to call them up and go, "Hey, Mr. Money Guy, give me your list of potential sponsors." Oh, okay, Rick, no problem. Here they are. Number one. They're not going to do that. It's a different way of obtaining that kind of information, which the NFLPA is now saying they would like to keep the media out of the locker rooms altogether. Listen, my problems are not your problems per se. You don't care about how I do my job. You just want it done. But I can tell you right now, you close that locker room, I can't get as much done. That said, there's a 10-minute cooling off period after games. And that's after the last player gets into the locker room, the last player. Sometimes that's like 10 minutes. So sometimes it would be 15, 20 minutes before we get in. And after a loss, I can tell you a lot of guys are gone. They take the back way out so we don't have to see them. Happens all the time, all the time. And they go, "Oh, I don't want to get interviewed in various states of undress." You got 15, 20 minutes to get dressed, or you can just stand there in your uniform like some do the interviews, and then get changed. Some of this now, women have been a regular in the locker rooms now for more than 20 years. And so there aren't guys walking around naked. Trust me. It's all taken care of there, and we wouldn't tolerate it. I remember a player once being naked in front of one of the women reporters, and we quickly went to him and said, "Not again, not doing this again." And I've seen players stop that in the early days too, and say, "Stop it." Dave Butts, threatened Dexter Manley never to do that again. Even though Dave Butts wouldn't talk to women reporters in the locker room, but he wouldn't allow that to go on. So, but that's not what this is about. This is just accountability and not wanting to talk to anybody and all that. Well, you win, you would. So I'm not. I don't think it's going to happen. The Commanders made a sculpture for one player. Who would it be? Asked Marcus. Well, I think Sammy Ball is the greatest player ever. But if we skip past Sammy Ball, it's Darryl Green, who's getting his number retired against at the Carolina game this fall in October. Next man after that got to be Riggo, and I would do Riggo's statue, like in motion where he's knocking off Don McNeil around his waist and running for that touchdown in the Super Bowl. Single most important play of the modern era for this franchise, and I would do that. Mike, see any odd practice drills? Yeah, there's weird things going on. There is a basketball that's been around, okay? And Jaden Daniels explained that he likes to start off with a basketball for a minute and kind of get used to that big basketball, because then he switches to the football. It's much smaller. He seems to get a better grip. Okay, if it works for you. So I guess that's a weird thing. But the rest of it, I haven't seen any. And this whole thing about starting every practice like they're in the Marine Corps at Paris Island, yelling like crazy person running this drill. They're still doing it. I'd never seen that before. That's kind of cool. It just gets the adrenaline going. Thank you, Clint, for coming. Let's see, Antoinette. How many players' autographs do I have? 0. And will I wear a Commander's jersey? 0. Antoinette, remember, I'm in the media. We don't do these things. We have to be impartial. We have to be professional. And so I have never asked for an autograph. And I will say I have a Redskins jersey someone gave me for Christmas of my all-time favorite player, Mark Mosley, sitting in my closet. I can't imagine I'll ever wear it. But, I don't do that. That's not what the media does. You have to be impartial. I'm old school media. So that's what we do. TV guys are new. Some of them do it. That's their business. I'll worry about my business. Kenny, did you see the recent story rating all-time great Washington quarterbacks? No, I did not. Who wrote that? I could write that. I keep a list of. I rank all the quarterbacks since the last Super Bowl. Jane Daniels will be the 36th different person to start for this team since 92. I do rank them. Do I have it somewhere here? I do. If you guys want to see it, hold on. I'll show you my list. I don't know where I'm going to put Jaden after one game, but I bet you I will put it somewhere higher up in the first half. Okay, so I've done that. Let me put it in the comments chat box. I don't know if this is going to fit or not. It's awful big. Yeah, it's way too big. Okay, hold on a second. It says if I cut a bunch of it out, I can. Okay. All right. Let's see. Delete that. Okay. All right. This looks like crap. But if you look at the comments, my rankings, they all run together. If I had a few minutes, I could make it look nice. But since we're just doing this, you can scan it. You know what I'm talking about there. How many fans out there you think are watching? You mean like how many fans of the franchise, Gregory? I don't know. Still a lot. You win more, they come back. What are my dark horse players that will make the 53? Asked Roy. That's a good one. I'm thinking, let me pull that the other way. And Marcus asked kind of the same question. What veterans might fall off this roster? I would say Jamin Davis and Benjamin St. Juste would be 2 of them that I think have a chance to not be on this roster this fall. That would be the 2 of you're looking at right away. So I'll pull it that way. I'd have to really sit there and look at the lineup. Let's see. Oh, I got my roster right here. Let me scan it real quick. See, I keep a real roster. I don't think Ramiz Ahmed's going to make it. He hit 2 off the upright the other day. That's not good. They're not trading John Allen. Um, De'Ami Brown, I think, could be an iffy to stay. Let's see. Michael Davis at corner might start. There's one for you. He might start over Forbes. Forbes supposedly has gained 15 pounds, even though the roster has him at 173. All I can tell you is what's on the roster. But Quinn says he's like 10 pounds more than that. Well, then fix the roster. The roster's supposed to be opening day weights when they report to camp. Everybody weighs in, and that's what it's supposed to be. So Jordan McGee might be an interesting one to make the team. I know he's a draft pick. Fedarian Mathis better show something in camp, or he could be gone. Ricky Stromberg, that would be an interesting one too. He's a maybe. So there you go. There's half a chance. Okay. Anything less than a wild card game would be disappointing. Greg wonders. I think they can make the wild card. Will they? I don't know, but I think if things go right, which when does anything go right? But you know what? After a lot of bad years, maybe karma comes back and helps you. Maybe they can win 9 games. I think they're 7-win team, maybe a 9-win team. Antoinette, do you think Dan Quinn will spend time with the defense? Absolutely. He's an head coaches nowadays are, overseers of everything. Let's spend time there. So I wouldn't be surprised there. Am I a Snyder? It's on the junkies sometimes, Greg asks. Yes, that's me. I spell it the right way, not like the guy used to own the team. So I'm on the junks. I was the junkies' first media person when they started their show on weekends back in the 90s, whatever year it was. I was the first. A lot of guys wouldn't go on their show because it was a weekend show, and they figured, these guys aren't going to make it. Just somebody new. And, we get a lot of requests to come on, and even more so now in this internet age where people say, can you come on my podcast and all that? We have to protect our time some too. I do more of them than I used to, but anyway, I did the junkies. I was the first guy, and then what's it been, 25 years or more? I don't get paid, if you wondered that. It's 7 a.m. a lot of mornings. It's a little early, but I do it as a professional courtesy to appear on shows when I can. And, occasionally, they ask me to come on here and there, and if I can, I will. But there's no obligations on either end. So I'm glad a lot of people hear me on there. And so I do it. I have a lot of family in Washington because I am a 6th-generation Washingtonian. So I have 10 cousins around town. And unfortunately, most of my aunts and uncles are pretty much all gone. But some of my friends see it and all. So the junks treat me fine. I just saw Cakes and Lurch the other day at a party. Kenny Stewart from Rigo's Rag. Okay, so he had Joey T the best over Doug Williams over Sonny. Well, definitely Doug Williams. How many games Doug Williams won as a Redskins quarterback? 5. Okay, 5. Now, they were a Super Bowl. I'm not knocking that, but I look at a little more than that. Sonny was the best of all. Okay, so Sonny's number 1. Joey T maybe put 2 because Joey T won 85 games and a Super Bowl and lost a Super Bowl, but he got to 2 of them. Nobody else has done that. 85 was a record number of wins too. Ball would be after. I mean, I never saw Ball play, but Sonny said he was the greatest, so you have to look at that. So if I went Sonny, Joe T, Ball, I liked Billy Gilmore a lot. Although he drinks his beer on ice. It's really gross. I'd probably put him over Rippon. I'd put Cousin over Rippon. And from there, I would put RG3 over Campbell. And Gus would be at the end. Gus was good. You don't have him Schuler. Even Schuler's not even on the list. Gus was really great at ramping up quickly. He's a great reliever. And so like Taylor Heineke. Spot starter, great reliever, can come into a system and get up to speed very quickly, but his plateau is there. But hey, Gus made it around the league 15 years. He was the 7th round pick and the last man standing in his draft year. Gotta love that. And now he coaches and is like an athletic director at a kind of like a prep school in St. Louis area. I haven't talked to him in a while. Greg, wasn't big on junkies at first, but they definitely grow on me. They've gotten much better since their early days, and they know what they're doing. They're like rated one of the highest sports talk shows in the country. There, so I do write for 106.7 The Fan. I write columns. I'll have one tomorrow. So if you want to read me on there, it's audacy.com, audacy.com. I usually post it on Twitter and also here on YouTube. I'll post a link on there. Greg, is there extra land around the current stadium to build a new one? Yeah, absolutely. That's why it could be there because Josh Harris already owns that land. So he can do whatever he wants on it. They would build it, when I gather, on the I think it's the south side is what we would call it, but it's the side where the metro is. They'd move it. That would be closer to the metro. There's only so far they can move because now there's houses there, or townhouses. But if you take the metro to the game, it's not a bad experience. It's a 1 mile walk. I'll say that, but it's a nice sidewalk. It's a safe walk. You can do it. Just don't get blasted drunk and try and walk back. That one's a little hard. I've seen people do that. Joey T merits. Yeah, I mean, Kenny, I'd say Joey T isn't a Hall of Famer, but he's right up there against it. One of those guys that you want to put in the Hall of Fame, but you just quite couldn't get there. Larry Brown's another one. Larry Brown's desperately trying to get a PR campaign to move up in there, and I loved Larry Brown as a kid, but he's but then they put on Terrell Davis in Denver, put him in, and the stats were very much like Larry. So life's not always fair. I want to be in the DC Sports Hall of Fame. I've tried to ask about it shamelessly, and I want my grandkids to see my legacy. And I don't think I'm ever going to get in there. And life ain't fair. I think 47 years, 46 years so far covering sports locally. I used to have my day when I was the best in town. Not anymore, but nobody seems to care. So you won't see me there. What did you see during campus stood out the most traveling, Alan? Nothing yet. I've only been, to one. I'm going tomorrow for the second one. It just hasn't been much there. It's all situationals and drills and not quite there. Brad Johnson. Well, Brad Johnson definitely would be. He only played 1 year, right, or two, but he was. Yeah, it was a good team. That 99 team. Oh, it was a really good team. And Brad was part of that and later won a Super Bowl elsewhere. Scotty, which X2023 player will have the best year? You bet Curtis Samuel with the Bills. I'll go with you on that one because no one else comes to mind. But Curtis Samuel's a nice player, still in his prime. Okay, Gregory, loved Cousins, but wasn't on board to pay him. I get that. I mean, I admit they botched the Cousins thing, but he was a nice player. Would he get you to the top? No, but he was better than most of what they had since. Gregory, I haven't been to our old FedEx Field since RG3's first season, which was 2012. All right, man, you got to come back. It's 12 years. We got your seat for you. Kenny, put his Canadian stats in. He's a legitimate Hall of Famer. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Are you talking about Brandon? I'm not sure. Brad Johnson did okay when he left. Kenny is right about that, laughing. Gregory, let's start beating down the door to get me in the Washington Hall of Fame. Well, it would be nice, but I couldn't even tell you to argue about it. But I appreciate the thought. It's hard to believe Thursday is the start of the season. Yeah, I'd forgotten that until Antoinette mentioned it. Is it going to be televised? Yeah, the NFL. I mean, somewhere it'll be televised. Oh, Joey T in Canada. Yeah, Kenny. Okay. Well, he was there 1 year, I think. On there. That's what I say about Gary Clark. You had Gary Clark stats from his couple years in the USFL, and he would be, I think, 699 catches. I think that merits consideration. I like Gary Clark. Honestly, I like Gary Clark better than Art Monk. But I mean, Art did what he did and retired as the leading receiver, but only with about 150 more catches. Gary was very good. Yeah. We got 8:48. All right, we got 12 minutes to go. If you want to donate money, now's the time. But anyway, you see the dollar sign below me, and you can see the Venmo, and I don't have that anymore. So it's up there in the comments. You can find the Venmo or PayPal. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, Joe was a first round. Todd, he was a first round pick of Miami, so they had to trade for him, even though he went to the CFL. And I do remember returning punts. He just wanted to play, but he was behind Sonny and Billy for a while. Kenny, do I think non-NFL numbers should be included? Yes, because it is the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not the NFL Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I would change your name or add the stats. Steve, all right, Steve's always here. I thought Gus was going to be a real steal, but he hit a wall. Yeah, that was Gus. Gus could go from here to here real quick, but then he stayed here. He never got, and there's value in that, especially as a spot reliever and an emergency signing. And there's nothing wrong with a guy like that. So he had a great career for it. Monas, can I do burger reviews? Not a big burger guy anymore since the heart attack 22 years ago. Don't really eat burgers much anymore. Excuse me. But I did have, if you go search my library, I did do a pizza in a vending machine on the street where it makes you hit a touch screen and you can get a pizza in 3 minutes. So it's on my YouTube page. You can see it. It was interesting. Nothing else. Pizza was okay, but it wasn't sliced. How can I eat a big pizza? If it's like an 8-inch, I'm going to eat a big pizza in the street that's not cut. Going, I look like Homer Simpson. That was kind of weird. Otherwise, the pizza was okay on that. Do I think they'll get Brian Ayuk? Asked Traveling Alan. No, I don't think so. Moonshine Delight. Ooh, I haven't seen you in a while. Gus could drive the bus. Yeah, he could. He just couldn't drive it faster than the speed limit. Gus could throw 5 interceptions in a game. Well, Kenny, sometimes that happens, but that's Rex more. Sexy Rex, he could throw and did throw 5, I think, in a game. And then that Monday was man enough to meet the media and go through those 5 picks and was at least gave logical explanations, even though he admitted that he screwed it up. But that was an impressive thing, I remember. Not many guys could do that. Jeff George, he wouldn't even talk after the games. Such a pain in the butt. Gregory, the first preseason game is noon. That's because the NFL now wants to do games like at 1, 4, 7. So you have NFL all the time. So that's why that game is at noon. I'm actually on vacation. I'll have to tape it and come back. I'll come back a few hours later. That's why it's there. I'd rather have a day game. I've covered a couple of day games in preseason. It makes it easier on me. Never give up. Thanks for coming. Gus did literally hit the wall. I remember seeing him in the locker room afterwards, and he was dazed. They didn't have to speak to him because he had a concussion. But I saw him leaving, and yeah, he definitely was dazed after that. Do Monas, will they play a 3-4 or 4-3? I think 4-3 is a base, but probably less than half the time do you go with a 4-3. Let's see, Antoinette, what time is the first scrimmage game? Well, it's not a scrimmage game. It's a scrimmage. Well, it's not even a scrimmage. They call it that. They're really working against each other. It's not so much a game, and it's not on TV. It's just practice. They call it scrimmaging sometimes, but they don't, because they do go against each other like on 11 on 11 drills, but it's not like a game, and you got 60 minutes and all that. It's 11 on 11, 7 on 7 is a lot. So they call it scrimmaging, but it's not quite the same thing. Kenny, remember a game when Marcus Patton almost punched out Gus on the sidelines? Well, I can tell you, he punched Heath Schuler in the eye at a practice one day because I saw the shiner that he gave him. Yeah, Marvcus. Marvcus. It was always a hard name. Greg, am I going to any of the road preseason games? No, nobody pays me to do that anymore. You can tell on how much am I made tonight? A few bucks. I don't have, I had to reach in my own pocket for that. I can just watch it on TV. That's the thing, nobody's paying the bills, so I have to keep it simple. It's joint practice. Yeah, traveling out. That's kind of what it's called. Okay. Yeah, the practice with the Patriots a few years ago. I remember that one. It was down in Richmond, and it was sort of like the rich kids from that famous prep school. Came in all shiny and new and looked like the pros, and the Redskins looked like the Bad News Bears compared to them. Oh yeah, I remember that. It was kind of cool though. Okay, what we got? 6 minutes to go. Okay, well, you've been good on questions tonight. If you can hit the thumbs up on the algorithm, that'll at least make the algorithm people happy, which makes me happy, I guess, because they send me people. Um, okay, Michael hopes they win. Okay, well, hey, if you're going to do anything, you might as well win over lose, right? I don't blame them. Winning makes happy people. um, Greg, the Patriots coach, I don't know. I keep track of this place. I haven't really paid attention to them too much. Um, And Michael said, yes, Dubs are good. Hey, winning preseason games, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, look at Baltimore, how they ran them off. And when Washington beat them in the preseason to end that streak, I can tell you, even the third strings were throwing haymakers at each other. Each of them wanted to win that, so don't ever listen if they don't, because they do. They do care a little bit. It's funny, I was talking to Dan Quinn the other night when he had to meet with the press. It was last Monday. Yeah. And he talked about Osaka, and I was like, "Oh wait, you were on the San Francisco staff?" And he goes, "Yeah." So we were talking about that game and all. That was just kind of funny. There's only a few people in the media that went, and only I think there's maybe three of us left: Bram Weinstein, and Chick Hernandez, I think, and I. I think are the only three left from that. That was 22 years ago. And I came back 2 weeks later, had a massive heart attack at Redskin Park. Thank God it didn't happen in Osaka. Mike, thank you so much. So the Steven Davis, Michael Westbrook fight. Yeah. Michael sucker punched Steven. Steven called him a bad word. They were all BSing on the sidelines. And Michael called him a word he shouldn't have said. And Michael should have just laughed and said F you too or whatever. But instead he got mad and punched Steven, sucker punched him. And the media happened to be right there and see the whole thing. So it made it even bigger. I mean, I've seen a million fights in camp. So I mean, we don't really worry about it too much. I always laugh. I'm at practice to see the injuries and the fights, but really, you might see a couple of fights all of training camp. That's about it. Antoinette, how much will JD play in the first preseason game? Quinn hadn't talked about any of that yet, so I can't tell you. He wants to wait till next week to talk about that. Is the airline in shape, Michael? Yeah, they look okay to me. I haven't seen anybody wheezing out there or puking. It hasn't been insanely hot though. It's been kind of lucky that it's been hot. It's been humid and you're sweating. I'm sweating, so I know they're sweating. But it's not like the week before where it was 104 degrees. That would be kind of insane to practice in that anyway. Tomorrow, it might be a chance of rain. It might be in a bubble. I have to just see. Um, Gregory, do I think the international games will keep adding on due to NFL making money? Listen, the NFL does whatever the NFL can do to make money. Okay. Money, 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 money. They play on the moon if they could make money on it. So yes, they'll keep doing this. Moonshine, how's Jaden Daniels look? I think he's been fine. He's got the respect of people, which is nice. He's worked hard. I think he looks okay. A little undersized. Well, that's because you're seeing him standing next to those big linemen. Those big linemen are huge, huge human beings. You don't really appreciate how big offensive linemen are till you've stood by them. And holy cow, you can be too big. Well, I've seen linemen. I think the sweet spot for linemen is around 6'6", because if you're 6'8" or 6'10", like I've seen some, you can't get in a low enough stance and you lose leverage against defensive players because you can't get low enough to hit. And then it makes it harder for the quarterback to even see over you. So I think it's too big can happen on an offensive line. All right, a couple of minutes to go. Am I worried about the O-line depth? I don't think so, Mo, because one thing that Quinn is doing is he's getting himself a lot of players who can play two positions, guard tackle or guard center, so that they have options. And they've really emphasized that a lot, especially among the reserves. So it's not like the old days where you played one spot there. They're now doing multiples. So I'm not worried about that. Um, Traveling Alien said, yeah, these players are huge. I'm telling you, man. You think this guy looks small, man, when you stand, it's like the NBA. You think this guy's short. He's 6'4", that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I once had a photographer. 3 basketball players were walking on the other side of the court toward us to get pictures done. Photographer says, "Wow, they look small." I said, "Just wait till they get up here," and then she realized they're 6'10", 6'8", and 6'6" or something. She thought the 6'6" guy was little until she saw him right up in her. And I was like, "That's how this works, man. They're all huge. I'm their grandfather now." So they treat me nicely. When I used to interview football players at Maryland, I used to stand on the curb and they'd stand on the street right in the locker room. Give me a few more inches to get closer to them. And I'm 5'10", but that's how big it is. Do I like the bye week spot? Gregory asked. It's the third straight year. It's the middle of December. Really weird. I think it's too late. I think by week 10, all teams should have had their buys. Go week 6 to 10. If you got to play a few less games, so what? It's personally, I love middle of December. I can go to a Christmas party, but I think it's too late for a team. When they came back last year with 4 games ago, I knew they'd never win. It's like we've lost 4 straight. They're out of it. They don't care about the last 4. Stay healthy. All right, Antoinette, thank you for coming. Ooh, it's 9 o'clock. I get to finish. Go watch the Olympics, I guess. So thank you all so much for coming on it. I have videos up at 6 in the morning. Thanks, Steve. I'll see you after we're both on vacation. 6 a.m. on YouTube and Twitter and all these other places. And then down dinner time, have them. So I'm still doing those. Next Monday I'll miss, but then we're back for till hell freezes over together. So Kenny, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate the PayPal on that. All this helps, that's how I can say. So I do appreciate everybody coming. If you've missed any of the show earlier and you you really want to go back and look at it, as soon as I finish this, it'll rewind and you'll be able to watch any part of the show. So I do appreciate all that. So everybody, thank you for coming. I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thanks for coming. I'll see you in 2 weeks, wherever that is. I think August 12th on that. But look for the daily ones. You'll see them. All right, everybody. See you.